You know the frequency, yeah. You know the frequency. Come on, you know the frequency, yeah. You know the frequency. I've been upgrading my frequency.
Going live on the mic.
My energy. I've been upgrading my frequency. No matter what, I protect my energy. We off the grid.
Yeah. We are back. Y'all listen to the Frequency Live on WMB1 Radio. I'm your host, B. Carter.
Double D, Derek Tamaros here.
Charlie Perry. What's going on?
And we are the Frequency Live on WMB1 Radio. What is going on, my guys? What's going on, my guys?
Fellas?
Another week has gone by.
Yes, sir. Charlie, what's up?
Just want to let some freaks out there know that there's no Diddy party.
Oh, shit, that I ain't fucking going outside because I'm trying to get a freak off.
Put him in jail.
Shit crazy. Why? Because of freak offs, man? Come on, man.
Get Stocks and Johnson. Get Stocks and Johnson just because of him.
Oh, yeah. He got all that baby oil. Ain't nothing wrong with a lot of baby oils. Good for the skin. Shout out, but think about good of the skin because I had to get my skin treatment, my gentleman balm from Manolani Saray. Let me talk. Hold on. I gotta show it to the camera. I had to get my gentleman's body balm with, how you say that? What kind of oil is it? Basso oil. Well, shout out to Diana. She from Manolani Saray. Like this stuff is good stuff. That I had whole bottles I used, and I ran out, and I actually bought 2 bottles from her. I try to use the brands out in CVS, and, things of that nature, and it doesn't compare to this stuff. And it makes the skin glow. It makes the body smell good. You don't know nothing about this, Derek, because we black people, we get ashy. We need to moisten our skin. But
Definitely good stuff.
Manolani Saray, go to Manolani Saray. They got all kind of different products, a lot of things for the ladies, and a lot of things for the men. Local product. I stand by it.
Highly recommended. Definitely good product.
With Father's Day coming too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Some women could surprise their guys with
good stuff.
Good
yes, because fathers don't get much during Father's Day.
No, just a tie, socks, gift cards.
So how your week, guys? How your weeks?
My week's good. It was real good. Definitely. Trying to stay busy, trending with different things. Podcasting. I told you guys about that new app, Swell. I've been on that every day.
I got to get a little more deep into that.
Man, meeting people all over the world. And it's just conversations like we have here on Frequency Live. That's all it is. Conversations like that. And people reply. But I love it. I get to post some of my poetry, do my thing. So
it's awesome.
It's all good.
What about you, man?
I'm just busy. I'm very busy working on my house, real estate. But I got to spend some time with my daughter last night. So there's always time for that,
Yeah. So I was hanging out with you guys last night.
Yeah, fun night.
We had like deep conversations. It's a good dad over here, man.
Yeah, he is.
I was asking this daughter a lot of questions. I want to see if he was raising her right, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want him to have a child that veers off. You got to protect these children of ours. And she's smart. She's a smart individual. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, we have some good conversation, her and I, about what the world and being an adult and the environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not the environment, but the environment around us.
She looks like she has a good head and head on her shoulder. Not looks like, but seems like she has a good head on her shoulders, and she's gonna make good decisions for herself, and has a lot. I can see it has a lot to do with you and your relationship with her. Yeah. So
I hope so. But it is kind of cool. It's a different time for me. Like we're downtown. We were at the port. We went to New Beige with Berto. Older
started at
Blackwell. Hanging out Black. You know what I mean? It's like it's fun. I really enjoy this time of being a dad.
Because y'all about to go on vacation with her, and you was mentioning about really appreciating being able to do those things with her, as far as like hang out in Puerto Rico with her.
Yeah, or just even like to that point, even like at the Black Whale.
Mm-hmm.
You know, having some drinks, hanging out. You know, friends are popping over. You know what I mean? Like it's a fun time.
Yeah, so. It's a good chapter. I'm enjoying that. You know, as the kids get older, and it's an empty nest, and they're growing up and doing their thing. It's a different conversation, you know, especially when they know they can talk to dad, you know, a different way, you know, a different intellect, and that's good, man. You're gonna enjoy this chapter.
Yeah, I'm loving it so far.
I got so many things on my mind.
Yeah,
there's a lot going on this week. Wait, did you talk to y'all what we talked about yesterday, or we haven't really got to it yet?
No, I haven't got to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm not even saying anything about it just right now. All right. There's a lot going on.
Stephen Davis, I see you, man, my buddy.
Stephen Davis going on. Where do we want to start? There's things that we're going to talk a lot of things about. We're going to update on the Diddy trial. We're also going to talk about what's going on in LA with people fighting back against the ISIS and the Trump ordering the National Guard to control that. We're going to talk about the Massachusetts South Coast real pros and cons, right? It's opening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're going to talk about the department heads within the Trump administration. There's a couple of people that had to answer questions in front of Congress that really didn't seem too well. Are these the right people to be heading these departments? We're also going to talk about gun violence. A couple of weeks ago, maybe throughout this year, we've had a lot of gun violence in the city of New Bedford that is becoming very troubling, and we need to just speak on that. So we have a long. Also, I wanted to. It's a fun play with artificial intelligence in the music industry. It's really taken the effect in the music industry to a point where a popular producer named Timbaland signs an AI artist.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into that stuff and how does it affect the music industry? How can it affect the art of music? Something that I know that we all love and cherish. So let's get into what we want to start. Let's start off with the Diddy trial, because we're not going to spend too much time on that right here. All right, for the Diddy trial, I don't know if we all are keeping up with it. I am not not like obsessed with it, but I'm keeping track of what's going on. And, they had a person understand Jane Doe talking about Diddy, and come to find out that Jane Doe was 50 Cent's ex, baby's mother of his child. A lot was going on there, meaning where she admitted that she was dating Diddy, and Diddy wanted to have these freaks offs with him. She really liked him. She was open, loved having a threesome with him right off the jump. And as soon as she gave the okay, he was on the phone, getting those people. It's crazy. That guy's nuts. She did him, whatever. She said when they first met, she went on a 5-day date, meaning where they went away, and she had to be home for work, and he actually paid her $10,000 to be on this 5-day date. And I got some thoughts about that, and I got a clip that I wanted people to listen to really understand where I'm coming from. But basically, it's just showing, it's just all this was showing how freaky he was and using his influence to get what he want with these freak offs or in sexual ways. What do we think about this when we hear another woman testify? And this woman is actually still getting her apartment still paid for by Diddy and everything.
Yeah, because they signed like a 2-year contract or 3-year contract.
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, I feel like Cassie got like beat up. Cassie is a victim, but I get some of the things like he's on trial because he's a freak.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, if it is bringing people across state lines and you can get arrested for it. I mean, that's fine, but I don't know. I feel like this needs to just go away.
True. I do too. I just think that it's a game they're all playing. It's a game that's it's a street game. You know, it's an entertainment game. But you know, when you're doing things in the street and you know whether it's dealing, gang violence, whatever it is, you know, drug dealing, you're doing all that stuff. It's part of the game, you know. So sometimes you may make some money, sometimes you may lose some money. They may rob you of some money. But the code of the streets is not to snitch, not to do this. You take your lumps. And I think this is the same thing with this. It's part of this little circle, this entertainment thing. You know, hey, if you sleep with Diddy, you get albums, EPs, whatever, LPs, all that stuff. He gives you some kind of deal, right? And so they were all for it. Whether it's doing things, sexual favors, they were into it. They knew what they were going to do, and this young lady knew it, and she got her apartment paid for, and it's all part of the game. And now she's testifying. What are you testifying for? It's something you chose. You chose to be there, and don't get me wrong. I'm very well aware of what goes on in prostitution and all that. This is a ring, you know, and they were all involved in this and getting some benefits from it. And there's also some lumps to go with it too. And now they're testifying. And that's when I look at cases like this and I say, well, comes with the territory.
Yeah, but I mean, like, Sonia, thank you for the comment. Like, Cassie should not have been beat up. Completely agree.
Right away.
Yeah, and that's domestic.
Completely agree, right? Yeah. That's domestic.
Yes, no question. That's cool. I'm saying
you can be a freak and you're a sexual freak or whatever you want to do with the parties. But I mean, you can't raise your hand to a woman because now you're
no question.
You know what I'm saying?
No, 100%. That's I'm not even arguing that. That's not even an argument.
Yeah, can we go back to the tapes? Right, all three of us has always said,
yeah, right.
This is domestic.
Right. That's right. No, I'm not saying. What I'm saying is, just because she's into like the sex thing doesn't mean she's into being beat up. You know what I'm saying? So I think that there is a difference, right? You can be a freak yourself. You could want to have sex with multiple people, or orgies or what have you, but doesn't mean you want to get beat up. That's not.
But like when we talked about it last week, there's a whole thing going on in this situation, is that, like, in Cassie's situation, there's a lifestyle that she was willing to do anything for to be in. And that you got to hold yourself accountable for the choices y'all making for the reasons. I'm not excusing Diddy whatsoever, but you can't accuse Cassie for doing what she was doing while she did it, because she's not going to put herself in a position for men like you and I.
Yeah.
She did it because of Diddy had money, who Diddy was. And when you go into making decisions for that, there's some things that come with that. You know what I'm saying? There's things that come with that, and you got to hold yourself accountable, not to put yourself in that situation. Once you're in that situation and Diddy abuses that situation, 100, 1,000 million%. But for your own self-benefit, we have to talk about it through the full spectrum. Just because of these younger girls, to get their mindset to protect themselves from people like Diddy. Do not make decisions of a simple fact that he can give me a lifestyle. So you think you're gonna flex and use your beauty again? And these guys know, they know what you're doing as a female. They know that you're using your beauty as how can I say, as not a weapon, but
to your enticement.
Enticing. Yeah. Just like he's using his money as influence, enticing. You're doing the same thing to him that he's doing to you. You know what I'm saying? Don't abuse his money and his power and expect him not to abuse his power over you. That's how. Like, for an example, like, it just bothered me, and Chaya has bothered me. I'll listen to the Breakfast Club, right?
Yep.
And there's a girl named, there's a journalist host. She's like not a host, but she's one of the journalists that's been every day reporting on this Diddy trial. Okay. So she goes from the Breakfast Club and she goes right to the courthouse and she basically is in that trial and listens to every single witness and everything this has been going on, right? Mm-hmm. So she comes and reports this. Now listen to this back and forth right here. Hold on. Hopefully I get it.
He posted a picture of Bert and Ernie yesterday. I don't know what you're talking about.
Rubber ducky with Diddy is nasty. That is just crazy.
Rubber ducky, you're the one. They're talking. Baby oil, so much fun. I'm sorry. Y'all have done this before, huh? Look at you all tickle them pink over there, Charlamagne. Baby, why you just spitting juice out? Now you act like you're not solid. Stop. What? Oh.
I'm trying to get it
back to Diddy. Let's go too far. All right. So Jane Doe on the stand, and her testimony is actually going to speak to, or it's supposed to be speaking to sex trafficking, forced coercion, all of those things. But they have to prove that all this was done under threat.
Jane
so
Doe
far, everything she said is that she was super in love with Diddy at the time. She didn't know anything about freak offs, but one day they were together, and they were talking about fantasies, and he talked about bringing another person in, and she was like, okay, cool, I'll try that. She said she got up, went to the bathroom. She alleged by the time she came out the bathroom, Diddy was on a phone call making it happen. So she's like, okay, well, here we go. It's happening sooner than I thought. Wait, he already had the people on standby. Yes. Period. Yeah. And then they talked about, like her career and stuff, because at one point she says that she was, thinking about making her OnlyFans, and he encouraged her not to, allegedly. And there have been some talk because she's an influencer. Oh, that's funny.
That's hilarious.
See where we going here.
I want to talk to you about my career. I'm thinking about starting an OnlyFans. Girl, if you don't believe me, I'm on a train.
It gets worse.
Well, there was one point that a lot of people were bringing up of, like, when they first went on, like, their first away trip or whatever. How guys be like, well, how much you making at work? Don't go to work for these couple days. I'll whatever. Right. So she alleged that she didn't go on this, didn't go to work, and their first date lasted like 5 days, and Diddy allegedly gave her like $10,000 to make up for what she had missed at work. People start breaking it down like, yo, that's like $700-800 a day. Like
a 5-day date.
It's $2,000. That's what 5-day date. Okay, removing Diddy out the situation.
5 days, which you was $10,000.
That's a coke binge, by the way, guys. Okay, I know a coke binge when I hear one.
I wouldn't do coke, but I would do 5 days. Like, you just taking me away and we just having a good time. Yeah. No coke. No Diddy.
You the person that's been to these trials every damn day, and you know what comes with that, but you still want to go do it.
It depends on the man that you're going with, I'm sure.
Huh? Do you see what I'm saying?
She was ready.
And she's been reporting. She's been at this trial every single day, seeing the horrific things that these women are going through. And that's her mindset.
Yeah. She dummied it down to say that won't happen to me.
I can do it. Depending on the guy. Like women always say that, they're like, it depends on the situation. It depends on the woman. Like, you're choosing, like, yeah. Come on. Like, how do you explain that, dude?
I mean, I got no explanation. I mean, I think some women, they need to make better choices. As we men do too, but in this situations like this, I think women need to make better choices.
Yes.
But some of these women, they're just doing it for, like you said, for a payday.
And and if you are, that's okay. But then don't come in the back end and says, I'm a victim.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because that's not fair. But yet you can use your beauty to get money, to get a lifestyle, to get your apartment paid for, all this other stuff. That's okay, right? And then when someone expects you to do something and everything like that for all this money he's giving you, and freaking y'all the victim, come on, man. And I'm just saying this, I'm just having this conversation so these younger generation that's coming up don't come with that. It's okay. It's not okay. You know what I'm saying? It's not. It's sad that Cassie had to go through that. It's freaking sad. It pisses me off that she does. But I also, like, as a father, imagine.
Josh, listen. I never want to hear anything.
What if your daughter said that?
Yeah, no. I'd be disappointed. I would be disappointed if I found out she was in that kind of type of environment. Honestly,
for that reason.
Yeah, for that reason, for like anything why she would be in that environment, I'd be disappointed.
And it was funny how Charlamagne called her out on it.
Yeah,
he was like, you know what comes with that, right?
Yeah.
And she you see how she hesitated.
The thing is, correct me if I'm wrong. They stopped the conversation right about then.
Yeah, they moved on.
Yeah, and I wish they could have continued. For me, that would have been better for the Breakfast Club. Bring that out, just like we're talking about it right now. Maybe those guys with a bigger viewership could have had the same conversation we're having and delivered that same message that you just said.
Yeah.
And to millions of people, millions of women, it would have been perfect.
Charlamagne did it respectfully. He says, you just been in the courthouse for the last couple of weeks and heard all this stuff.
Yeah.
And you're actually saying this, not even realizing, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's true.
And he just said it subtle, and this was on the radio, but I guarantee he was looking at her like, what the hell are you saying right now?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So this is but yet before everybody was making Cassie come out like she's a victim, and she is, but they didn't want to talk about she made these choices.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So let's protect her by holding her accountable of her choices, or protecting the next woman that's coming up, so they can have more of a conscious understanding what doing that entails, what comes with that. Like I even asked your daughter, what would you like? I asked her because I was curious.
Yeah. She
was like, "Fuck no."
Yeah.
No.
She swore.
Yeah. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that.
No, she didn't swear.
Yeah, she has a good head.
Yeah, she does. It does, because of the relationship with Judge.
Yeah.
And I guarantee, if she was held in that situation, know why she wouldn't make that decision. What my dad got to
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. Yeah.
So when you have men like ourselves holding women accountable of the choices they're making, don't silence us. We're doing it because, we care, man.
Yeah.
We know the ugly in the world.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? We know the ugly in the world. You know what I'm saying, Charlie?
Yeah,
like
I do.
So we're not saying it to diminish Cassie or nothing. Cassie is beautiful, gorgeous. You're making bad decisions.
Mm. We got some comments here.
Yeah, you can't put yourself in those
sad situation. No woman should be doing that. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you gotta have self-respect.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what it comes down to. Self-respect.
And the thing is, if you're not gonna respect yourself, how can you have anybody else respect you?
Yeah.
Women are men.
Right.
You cheated on another man to be with this man. What do you think this man looks at you? How do you think that man looks at you?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then I'm gonna say, hey, you want to have a threesome?
Yeah.
You want to have a freak off? And y'all doing everything like that. How do you think there's no man that loves you is gonna want to watch you sleep with another man?
Right. And then a different guy after that.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
I'm telling you right now, he don't love you.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
He don't. It is fun.
Yeah. How could you love someone that you watch them do that?
Yeah. And she want to claim I did it because I loved him.
Yeah.
But he don't love you. But I don't know. As a man,
yeah.
I could not watch the woman that I love be with another man.
Yeah.
And for some reason, why would any woman think that? I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it.
No. How do you kiss her again?
I'll be so insecure. I'll be so, and trust me, Diddy has insecurities.
Yeah.
That's why he reacted the way he reacted, because he knew how he got her. He see how he is with other men. You don't think he's human.
Yeah.
And I'm not excusing how he reacted. I'm not doing it anyway, but that's some mental abuse too.
Mm. Yeah, a lot of that's mental.
Yeah, so he has to play the tough guy. He has to act like he don't care. That motherfucker kid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because he wouldn't have reacted in that angry way if he didn't care. Because if you're angry about something, that means that you care about it. You're not gonna get angry over something you do not care about.
Right.
But we don't want to have that conversation, because how he reacted was bad. It was wrong, and he shouldn't have reacted that way. And he has to have self-discipline. You're absolutely 100% right, but so does she.
All right.
I'm off my soapbox. So.
We're moving on from Diddy.
Listen, if you got girls and y'all raising girls, please pass on this message, because I don't want to see this happen to girls like this, yo. I really don't. All right, let's move on. Motherfuckers, yo.
That's it.
Let's talk about this Massachusetts railroad. Massachusetts South Coast pros and cons since it opened. Charlie, what do you think?
Well, the first pro, it's here. It's here. I'm glad it's here. Very, very happy to see that, hear it. I hear the train every single day. It's something that I truly, truly think that is beneficial to this area. Um, the other pro, it's been free since it's been on the tracks, you know.
It's been free?
Yeah, you can just go and jump on the train, go where you gotta go, and it's all free. So that was another benefit. Now I guess you gotta, as of June 1st, you gotta end up paying. So and the con is that they haven't hired enough conductors right now. So now they're using charter buses to get people where they need to go. Right? You know, whether you're here in New Bedford and you got to get to Boston, well, now you're jumping on a charter bus to take that ride.
Huh?
Yeah, they. So if a conductor is not available for a given shift,
train don't run.
So the train don't run, and then buses are on standby. So the people that are on the tracks could jump in the buses and go where they need to go. And
Oh my God.
and then so now you're stuck in traffic again, you know, and taking that bus ride. But it's something that, you know, the T is taken care of. So the other thing is I remember only one job fair before it's opening day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why wasn't there so many others? You know, why not once a month for in an upcoming year? You know, the 6 months prior to the opening day, maybe there should have been a job fair constantly, or that year prior, because I only seen one in this area in this city. And that's the sad thing about it. That you can't hire anybody. You can't hire conductors. Um, I didn't get a call. I put in for it, believe it or not.
Conductor?
Yeah, I didn't get a call. Would I have done that? Yeah, without a doubt.
What, is there training involved?
Yeah,
conductor?
I'm sure. So just like if you were getting a CDL for, you know, driving a bus, a truck, a trailer, whatever, you have to go through a certain training. And that same thing with the conductors. You know, you have a training. They're going to be tested, you know, written and physically, you know, being on the train. So, but they don't have enough people. And, or maybe it's a choice of these routes. Maybe someone that lives in the Boston area doesn't want to travel down this way, you know, Fall River or New Bedford. So who knows?
I mean, I think the rail is a good thing. I was glad to see it come. You know, just like anything else that starts up, right? There's going to be hiccups. There's going to be, you know, frustrations. I know there's quite a few houses going up for sale around the New Bedford tracks because it is loud. I live in a cushion and I can hear it, and I don't mind the noise. I think it sounds good, right? But I hear it's faint for me. I do hear it, but I'm not right on top of it, so I can see the frustration, whatever. But I will say this: like if you ever watch like New Bedford Guide, like on any social media, whatever, any town page, people love to complain. People just get on there and they complain. So it's like, you know what? Anytime there's a good thing, you know, or bad thing, whatever, people are just going to complain about it. So, you know, I think give it more time. I think it's going to be a good thing long term. We just got to get there.
Believe it or not, they complain about. I mean, we got sports venues in Foxborough. They complain about Patriot Stadium. Yeah, but that's the best thing that happened to that town, right?
Right.
Let that stadium go somewhere else.
They go somewhere else. There'll be a lot of problems, you know, for that town. And
right.
So, I don't know, but they do. Everyone complains, and it's sad. But I don't want this. I don't want this train to go away. Just like I don't want the fast ferry to go away. I want all those things to be available,
accessible for people.
So you and I could just, all right, we're going to Martha's Vineyard. Could you imagine? Your daughter comes into town, boom, Daddy, you want to go for breakfast? All right, yeah, we're going to Martha's Vineyard. Jump on a ferry, boom, come back.
Yeah.
You know, or go up to Boston and hang out at Quincy Market, you know, and you'll be back just in a few hours. So that's the convenience that I like about those transportations in this area.
Now, is there a way, I haven't really looked into the routes of the train, or haven't doing the train just yet. I should, just to get the experience. Is there a way of getting to the airport by this particular train? Or there's a connecting train?
Yeah, there is a way.
I think when you get to Boston,
yeah,
then you like jump on one of those lines to get to.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could. Someone was just telling me, but I don't want to misquote. But you can get into Boston and then
the train goes to Logan,
and then you can go to Logan. There's a way of whether even it may be just a shuttle bus, but there's a way of doing it where you can just bring your luggage right on the train, and then be able to jump right on your flight at Logan. You know,
what's the earliest train that leaves from here?
4 o'clock, I believe. It's 4 a.m.
Oh.
So there's I hear the train at 1 o'clock in the morning at my house.
Yeah.
So I don't know the time, but shit, that it's almost like running around the clock.
That could be like a delay.
Yeah, like late, coming back late.
Because I think it's pretty close to midnight in Boston, coming back this way. Yeah. And then that's the last.
Like I'm here at 1:30. I'm here at the choo choo. You know, so I do want to get on the train.
The choo choo.
Can you say that again? That might be a good reel, right?
Yeah. I want to go on the train. Like I want to try it. Go to Boston for the day or something. You know, check it out.
We gotta.
Yo, you don't want no freak offs. That sounds like a freak. I want to go on the train.
I want to go on the train.
I want to run the train.
You don't want to be the train.
That's right.
Yeah, it's good for the city. I mean, it's gonna take get used to. You know, there's a lot of people probably are complaining that's been living there for so many
long.
years, and things are changing.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's just evolution of life, is evolution of your environment. The way the world is now. There's more pros and cons with this train when it comes to the place you live, because it's gonna bring more money, but with more money comes more problems. You know. So it's something you gotta try to balance out and try to just like, all right, what's the negative positives? And it's not all gonna be 100% positive. There's no thing in life that's 100%. But you know, people have their own opinion, and that's okay. I mean, we all understand that. But you know, it's just about bringing more revenue into the city of New Bedford, and the people to enjoy this wonderful city that that we have here.
There was a local artist, local rapper, and he posted a video. He did his whole video on the train. On the top level, he's
wow.
rapping, doing his, and he got his own video.
Wow.
With the phone, and so.
Let's not be like B Street and they start tagging the train. You know, that movie B Street.
Hey, every day.
I know where Ramon's at. I don't think you're up to it. You don't know nothing about that.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
B Street.
Yeah.
No idea.
Talk about you down with breaking. That's bullshit. You ain't down with nothing. You remember that movie, right, Charlie?
Yeah, I do.
B Street. It's an old hip hop movie.
All right.
Back to what, early 80s?
Yeah.
80s? Yeah. There's some lines in there. It's so funny.
Derek, you gotta watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Report back to Frequency L.I.V.E.
Yeah, you see LL Cool J in that one?
Yeah,
because he was doing the Christmas song. It was like LL Cool J was like 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was
good. Years for.
Yeah.
I think we should stay in the city of New Bedford and talk about gun violence next.
Oh yeah, you want to get into that? Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. Get into like, I know we had a rally a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Talk about that. And what sparked that?
Well, because I think there's been, Charlie probably knows more than me, but there's been gun violence in New Bedford. Young kids, 18, 17, 19 years old, killing each other.
And it's getting sparked up again from old cases.
Yeah.
You know, and so now it like never goes away. And this is the case where it got sparked up. And well, I don't want to. It got sparked up from an old case, and they did something, and it just kind of start it all up again. And the thing is, it takes so long. I mean, it's pretty much it's been much quieter over the years, and now it's sparked up to it's going to go to a heated level. And now people have lost their lives. You know, it's just crazy. I don't.
I want to know what is the mindset from some kid, young kid that like pulls a gun out, like to kill someone. Like, do you realize like you're forfeiting your life, like to spend your life? Like, is that irrational that they think about? No, and are they okay with it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Why would you do that?
Yeah, it's I don't want to. They think life is a game, you know, where you can just press start or restart, and things are going to be okay. And it's not always the young people, but it's definitely it's a young mind where they think that they're just going to be punished a little bit, you know, and not like in the cases where it's going to be life, you know.
Right.
They're just going to get off, and that's what happens when juveniles go through juvenile court. They get a little slap on the wrist and go home, regardless of what they've done with a gun, a knife, or whatever. There's a little slap on the wrist, and they think they can just start their life over again. But I tell the young kids, all the young ones I was dealing with, is that go stay in the bathroom for 4 hours, see if you can handle it.
Right.
Don't do anything else but sit in that bathroom, and that's it. If you can, you know.
Just for 4 hours.
Yeah, 4 hours.
Remember back in the day, they had that program called Scared Straight.
Yeah, I went
like and I remember going. I remember going to one of those, right? And you know, I remember even watching. They had documentary or shows or TV. You watching on TV. I remember what the guy was saying. He was like, "You think you're tough, huh? You think you're tough? Come here." And he had him sit down. Now you're my bitch. You my bitch. That's right. Mwah. Mwah. He's kissing him, and he's like, "You my bitch." He's like, "Yeah, what you gonna do? You ain't gonna do nothing." And then he goes, "You got Crazy Larry." Crazy Larry comes over. Yo, what you got over there, man? He goes, "Yo, you want some of this? I'll give you this for a pack of squares. All right, you got that. Now you're over there. You're his bitch. You know." Like they was like you know what I'm saying, like really scaring these kids to a point where you gotta rethink your life, you know, because you want to be inside with these type. But now we have gotten too soft with these kids when they're younger. I feel like.
Listen, I feel like, you know, next Sunday is Father's Day, right? I want to take a different angle on this.
Okay.
Right? We need to hold some parents accountable.
Exactly.
Okay?
Oh yes.
There's a culture problem with these kids. I don't know if they don't have like a father figure at home. Like there's something missing. I mean, obviously, you know, the kid is the problem if they're pulling a gun out, but so you can't blame the parents for everything, right? There's gonna be some outliers, whatever. But like by and large, we need to like raise our younger generation better. You know, that's just how I feel about it.
As a parent, you go around the city and you see different things. A certain group of kids, and you say, "Wow, what are they up to?" Right? For whatever reason, you have a perception that they may be up to something that's no good. What is that? What is it that you're seeing? Are they in the same colors? Are they you know, what's going on? So as a parent, you have those perceptions already. So when your kid comes home and has those things on, you know, the clothing or whatever, and it's not always the clothing, but when you start seeing things, act upon it, find out what's going on, get more involved with it, and only because you're going to lose your kid. If you don't start getting involved with them before they're in middle school, you're going to lose them in middle school, because what you're teaching them at home, they're learning within an hour.
It's funny you say that, Chad, because me and Derek, we had a lot of conversations last night. And there's a difference between having kids and being a parent.
Yeah.
That's two different things. Now, I don't have children, but I'm watching people that are raising kids, and I'm taking what I, you know, and putting if I had kids, how I'll raise them. And one thing that, and in the conversation I had with Derek last night, that he does, and this is an example of being a parent. of what. So Derek will explain to me when he's raising his son. Right now, the son is a very little kid. He's a child at this time. You know, he's grown now, and he would say, "All right, you got to go shovel your mother's wall." Yeah. He's probably not big enough to even pick up the shovel, but he is like, and he said something about the AC. We're gonna put the AC in for your mother. He's doing it where the kid cannot even pick up the AC, but he's already was still in that mindset when he's young. So when he's an adult, is this something you do? Mm-hmm. You cannot wait till he's a teenager and you're protecting him when he's a kid. He's this gentle parenting, and now he's a teenager and you think you're gonna change who he's become. It doesn't work that way. Exactly. And I think that's good parenting. Yeah. You're not just having a kid. And a lot of it, you find it where I feel like we're dealing with an age where you have a lot of parents who had their kids at a young age when they were kids themselves, and this is the result of it. I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah, I completely agree. And a lot of times, the father's not around.
Yeah.
Right. So listen, when I got divorced, my kids were like 10 and 7, 11 and 8, right around there. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you can be divorced. You can have 2 separate households. Absolutely. Because I was still a main figure in my kid's life. You know what I'm saying? Had them 50% of the time, but always there for sports events, not on my days. So I was very active in my kid's life. Yes. So, you know, you can't, I get it, you know, kids don't stay together, these kids having babies at a young age, I get it, but there needs to be more accountability from these parents. And then sometimes I ask, like, where's the grandparent? Like, where's the grandfather, grandma? Because some people, they've been raised by their grandmother. Yeah. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right? So there needs to be someone needs to kind of be held accountable a little bit, because there's too many kids, like gun violence and you know, at such a young age.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
We need to understand also the way this whole parenting thing is set up for a mother and a father to be there, or a 2-parent household. Okay, like one second, I just need to get to the 2-parent household, because correct me if I'm wrong, and correct me if you guys have more experience in this parenting thing than I do. I put my opinions out there, not knowing if it's right or wrong, but put out there to have these conversations. There's things that a woman can do that a man can't when it comes to parenting. Mm-hmm. They have the empathy, the nurturing ability to nurture their kid. But with a man, I feel like men have the ability to create some discipline, some structure in the kids' lives. And there's no excuse not to have that within the still the kid, even you guys are not together. You know, we spoke about, that's another conversation we had when it came parenting to your kids, and you and your ex split up, and how you had to navigate through that. And a lot of things you had to sacrifice that was going on between you two for the sake of the kids. Right. And you got amazing kids. And the reason being, because I really feel like the choices you made when you were younger, you had to make those sacrifices. And I believe when you have a child, you have to understand that, are you prepared to be second for the rest of your life? Mm-hmm. And if you're not willing to answer that question, don't have a child, because it's not fair to the child. Because then you're going to raise a kid that might be bad for the society, because maybe you had too much of a gentle parenting. Maybe you wasn't ready to make those sacrifices. Maybe you really didn't understand how to be a parent because you wasn't even parent yourself. Right. You like your parents didn't parent you. Mm-hmm. You know, it's that deep, and some people don't want to have these conversations because it's that deep. Because it may force you to look at the mirror and be like, you know, something, I got work to do.
Right. We have work to do. I think there's another element where some of these kids, you know, they might see their father with got, you know, past history of gun violence or in jail, and that's like a culture that, you know, got passed down to them. Yeah. And they think it's okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's when the second parent comes in and says, right, you know, I know what daddy's done or mommy's done. It's wrong. I want to tell you, this is what I think. And this is the right way of doing things. You don't choose to do it with gun violence. We're going to do it this way. And that's when the other parent comes in and kind of talks about those situations, those uncomfortable conversations, even at a young age. Do it, because this those kids are getting stopped maybe by a teacher at school or a cop on the street. The cop's going to say that, hey, that's wrong, that's wrong. I just think that when one parent is doing something that's bad, I think the other one should step in and actually coach them that
Right.
this is the wrong thing to do. And if you think about it, you can call mommy or you can call daddy, and we'll talk about it. It's just, you got to have those conversations. And if you don't, then they're going to get overwhelmed, or they're going to kind of think that, all right, you know what, I want to be just like daddy. I want to be
Right.
just like mommy. And so that's when the other parent comes in and becomes, the person to say that's wrong, or talk to the other parent, say, hey, Junior just seen you, what you did, knows all about it. You got to talk to him.
Right.
I don't want my son on the streets. He thinks it's cool. You got to talk to him, and then that's what you do. So it's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.
So when we talk about like gun violence like this, how do you feel like, are these kids, when they get in trouble with like guns, are they getting put away for a fair amount of time, or like getting too much of a slap on the wrist? Like how is our justice system doing? Are they doing a disservice to our kids by not like either punishing them more? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think when it comes to gun violence, usually what happens in their juveniles, it's only going to affect them during their juvenile years, unless they get charged as an adult, and then it becomes something different. But I just think that it's getting softer, and
Do you feel like when in juvenile cases, you gotta hold the parent somewhat accountable if it's a fine or something?
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you have laws or rules nowadays, and this may be an extreme solution, but where it's getting out of hand. So, like, to get, like, if your child gets convicted of a gun crime, you have to pay this fine, or you're on probation.
well,
You know what I'm saying? Because if you cannot fully discipline the child the full extent of the law because that person's a juvenile, then I feel like the parent got to feel that that's society. I think it will almost scare straight parents to be parents.
Well, they do get scared straight. You know why? Not through the court system as much, however, but what happens is DCF gets involved.
Mm-hmm.
So now, why was your kid out at midnight,
Right.
and they got charged with a crime? We need to evaluate your family and make sure that you are not negligent, reckless, and take care of this small child or this young child. So DCF gets involved. Now that's a penalty in itself, because now you have strangers coming in your house. They want to review what's going on, look at what's going on, and it's almost, you feel like it's an invasion. So that's the penalty I see that social service does when juveniles are involved in different crimes. The court system will eventually get involved once DSF starts, talking to probation, or maybe getting somebody into the court system by the judge. What's going on with them? Are they getting counseling? And the family attorney, in that juvenile case would say, yes, he's involved with DCF. They're getting counseling every day. And who's getting counseling? Well, the whole family is. And so that's a penalty, because I don't want, nobody wants their family to be disrupted, right? Or disrupted by another agency coming in it, and just prying what's going on. They're gonna pry so much that they're gonna go into the school, they're gonna go into your job. There's just so much stuff. And you're gonna say, why? What did I didn't do anything. Yeah, you didn't do anything. You didn't watch your kid. You didn't pay attention.
Right.
I almost believe that part of the punishment of the kid when it's juvenile, and say if they're on probation or something like that. I think part of probation when you go into school, you got to be part of an activity.
Yeah.
Or y'all going, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all forced to do an after school activity if it's sports or if it's drama club or something. You have to show up there every single day. You know, so maybe some of that discipline doing sports or the discipline of being there every day, taking direction from an authority figure because you have to, may rub off into a point where, okay, we saved this child and he's going to be a better citizen once he becomes an adult. To only like, all right, slap on the wrist or yeah, juvenile, okay, go back in society. Like, you got to have some type of rehabilitation.
Completely agree.
You know,
completely agree.
So
and when you do get a family does get involved with DCF provides a lot of that. They'll like, all right, your kid needs to get to an after school program or participate in something, or we're gonna try to cover you on this, you know, financially, where to pay for a membership at the Y.
I'm hearing stories from educators that basically, you know, you have these parents coming in and their kids are being very disruptive and not respecting authority when it comes to like teachers or principal or things in that nature, and you're defending these kids
all the time.
So think about it. If they're not respecting the teacher or they're not respecting the principal, once they're an adult, you think they're going to respect the police officer?
Yeah.
He's an authority figure within the, you know, so now you're going to blame police officers of the reaction of your child that's not giving the respect of the authority figure there. Regardless of the cop is right or wrong, he's the authority figure. So you got to respect that. This like regardless of the teacher right or wrong. That's life.
I completely agree with you.
You know, and you're teaching them the wrong thing by backing them up and saying it's okay for that particular person, that the child, to act out. Now, I'm not saying not allow him to have a voice, no question. And you got to teach him how to communicate his emotion and his feelings. A lot of these kids now, they just virtually don't know how to handle their emotions.
Right.
You know, they don't know how to handle simple embarrassment. You know, and why is that? Because there's something going wrong in the home.
Yeah,
they're not doing any parenting.
Can I read something?
Yeah.
Someone just sent me a message. I kind of definitely agree with this. A lot of kids are not shown how to love, like at home.
Yeah.
Right. So we're talking up here about like discipline. Kids need more discipline, but a lot of kids aren't taught like to love and have affection and stuff like that. And again, that still goes back to like the home life, where I feel we need to do better. We need to be held accountable more for our kids. When you have kids, listen, that is a super huge responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not just to feed them and change their diaper and
No.
what have you. You know, you have a responsibility. That is your legacy. That is like the next generation. You gotta like teach them. You gotta teach them. You gotta help them. You know, get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And it means like doing everything.
Some people want to be congratulated but put food on the table, roof over their head. Why? That's what you're supposed to do.
That's like the bare minimum.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. You don't need to get a pat on the back for that stuff.
No.
Like, you made a choice to have this child and bring this child into life. That's what you're supposed to do. So that your choice comes with some responsibility and some accountability. So take it and take it for what it is. Your reward is how that child turns out to be.
Right.
You know.
I mean, we can have this conversation forever about like the school system, blah, blah, blah. You know, we're focusing on the gun violence in New Bedford. And I just say to myself, like, how does it get to the point where your kids are running around with an illegal gun? I'm assuming it's a legal gun in the city at, 17, 18 years old. How does that happen? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's some failure there as a parent. And I know there's going to be listen, I know there's going to be some single moms out here. They're working hard. They're working 2-3 jobs. Right? I get it, right? I'm just generalizing a little bit. I feel like we need to do a better job of, checking our kids' phones or like, checking their rooms. Like, where's he storing that gun?
Yeah.
Like, if I found a gun in my kid's house, like, they'll be freaking hell to pay. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, that shit just don't get swept under the rug.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's amazing.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
My old saying was, especially meeting with parents and they would, and then the child would say, swear at them, act crazy, or disrespect their own parent.
yeah,
And then I would come back to the parent and say, if that child's talking to you like that, could you imagine what they're doing in the school?
Of course, you're right.
Or doing to other people. So if you know that they do all this and have all these little outbursts with you and daddy, guess what? They're doing it 10 times worse in school,
right,
or on the street. So,
well, what I like, what in my observation, just me being do the job that I do and being amongst these environments, and I see the different environments where I used to live within the city limits of New Bedford. Now I'm in Fairhaven. Like I delivered in Dartmouth and Fairhaven, so I've seen so many different environments, and I'm realizing that you just know what you know. Mm. And there's some type of ignorance that comes with where people think that this is normal. Mm-hmm. This is how it is. No, it's not. And like, trust me, people in New Bedford, in the west end of New Bedford, if you just drive a half a mile into Fairhaven across that bridge, they're living differently from you. Mm-hmm. And their mindset's totally different. But that's, but so they just know what they know, and New Bedford's not a bad place to live, like not at all. But you just know what you know. When you keep yourself in the city limits, like I make jokes about, people, like some people won't go past CVS. Like you need to experience life and really understand that there's a big world out there. And people are living in different ways and learning. And sometimes for you to pass CVS, you're going to feel uncomfortable. But to feel uncomfortable is going to help you grow as a person and really see, like, listen, maybe I'm not living my life the right way. Maybe the way I'm thinking, my mindset is not the right way. Yeah, this is home, and there's not a lot of places like it, but there's a big world out there. So as a parent and as a child, that needs to be instilled in people so they can grow. Because if they stick in these blocks, that's what they're gonna do. Because I've seen people who I grow with that they're doing the same things with the same mindset in the same way. Like, why?
Forever.
Why? Forever. Doing the same things, getting in trouble in the same ways, because they're doing the same thing at the same place with the same people. Yeah. Like, come on now. And these are parents. So in other words, now their kids are raised in that same environment, and it's not good. You just got to grow as a person. You have to, so you could grow as a parent, so your child could have a shot to be successful in life and be a functioning adult.
I feel like from a parent, I feel like you always want better for your kids. Mm-hmm. You want more for your kids. You want better for your kids. So like that being said, when there's people that they have like gun violence around or like gang, you should work even harder to raise that next generation to get beyond that.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to put up this comment. Nathan Victor, what's up, brother? Guns are just as easy to get as weed, and he's right. Yeah, he's right. Charlie, you've been in law enforcement for many years, so I'm sure you can speak on this better than I can.
There's always someone out there that can get it for you, and don't care what age you are, who your parents are. If they can get a few bucks for that gun, they're gonna give it to you, or they're gonna give it to you so you can take care of some business for them, right? And say, "You down with it? Yeah, I don't like him. I don't like her. Whatever. They're just gonna do it." For whatever reason. So it's so easy for someone to get it. And just letting you all know, if someone needs a gun, they're going to get it.
And, so not to change the subject,
yeah,
but that's why, I advocate for, like we shouldn't get rid of guns because, legally you can get one. The bad guys are going to get a gun regardless. Just like Nathan said, you're going to find it on the street. You're going to easily get it. So that's why I say we should never get rid of guns, because I think they're useful for, citizens to get it legally.
I got friends all over this country where something I wanted to use, like a basketball, football, and that was something that I was raised on to play sports and all that. Well, guess what? I have friends down south that they were raised at an early age to go out and hunt, shoot guns, and do things. It was recreational, right? So I'm a huge gun advocate. I think that if you're lawfully you can have one, guess what? You should have one.
what I've learned, because I know a couple people who are gun owners. I know a couple people who I work with who they're part of a gun club and a gun team where they go for sport, team sport. And and I want to, like, I don't know a lot about guns, and these are responsible gun owners. Where I'll give you an example where he was talking about he was ordering a safe to store his guns, right? Because the safe had a little, like the door had a crack around it. He was like, no. He's like, what do you mean? He goes, no, because it's
locked.
It's locked, but you can still get into it somewhere in another.
Pry it open.
Pry it open. So he goes, I sent it back. I don't want it. That is a responsible gun owner.
True.
You know, and because he had like some high assault rifles, and he didn't want someone to, you know, go in his house and steal these guns, and now these assault rifles are on the street. So he's taking responsibility and accountability for, you know, having these guns. And that's the type of gun owners you want. Some people are just too lackadaisical.
Right.
Some people shouldn't even have guns, to be honest with you. It's Massachusetts has some strict gun laws.
Yeah.
One of the strictest in this country.
Yeah.
You know, like my beef is with some other states that should have more stricter gun laws. Maybe, you know, be an example of Massachusetts. I don't want to get rid of guns whatsoever, but we have a problem. We do, and we have a problem with our juveniles, and it's not just a gun problem; it's a mental problem.
Right. So listen, I feel like when someone gets hit by a drunk driver, it's always the drunk driver.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the car.
Yeah.
You know, but when we talk about gun, someone gets shot, like, oh, the gun. You know, how about the person that shot the gun, like the driver?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we focus more on, you know, like whether it's mental health or them, the culture, like, you know what I'm saying? That's what we should be focusing on. You know, the guns, to me, I don't think that should be the primary focus.
It's never. You said it. I can't even. I'm just gonna piggyback on what you said. I totally agree with it, and it's gotta hold people accountable,
right?
And we do it in other cases. Why can't we do it with the guns? And I don't want. Come on, guns are stress reliever. If people don't realize that, you go to a range and you go shoot a gun, you may have the baddest day in your life. You go out there and you shoot that gun, man. You come back and things are
target practice.
It's a good feeling, and so
like, to me, it's like it's a sport.
Yeah,
right?
There's a million reasons why we should have them. And,
right. You know, and we haven't mentioned like self-defense or home security, right? Yeah. Which is a legal thing to do, right? Protect your own house. So, you know, I think Massachusetts is a little too strict when it comes to guns. Yeah. But I think they're always going to find the hands of the bad guys, like, illegally, you know what I'm saying, on the streets or whatever. So, you know, I think we should focus more on families and raising better kids and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I want to give applause to everyone that's commenting. That's very, very important to a show like this. And thank you. I appreciate it. It's nice to see, especially, you know, I go home and I read all these comments. You know, it's awesome. So.
Nathan Victor, he said, I don't know if you saw that we need more police officers like you, Charlie.
Oh, damn. That's it. My man, Nate. Money's in the bank.
Can I ask you a question? Why are we like in the dark? Like, the only thing we have is the lights. These lights. Can we put on the on air sign too, Charlie? Please. Yeah. Can you do that for me, Derek?
Yeah.
You know, there we go. There we get some more light in here. Yeah.
You know what it was? We were.
It's late out. It's late.
Fortunate with the sun.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what it was. That was the sun. Yeah, that's what it. All right, because I love you guys, but I ain't trying to have no freak offs.
I got the poetry right there on my phone. I got the poetry right there.
He's pulling it up.
Okay.
Yeah, here it goes. 3 guys in the studio.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, we're gonna get into let's get into okay. Trump orders the National Guard to assist ICE in California. What do we think about this, guys?
Man. Well, what it shows, first off, that ICE doesn't have enough personnel.
Okay.
All right. They don't have enough personnel. They're not organizing. They're not doing things, whatever their goals are for the day. They gotta, I mean, these disruptions and standoff meetings all over the country have been going on for a few months, right? And
Yeah.
we've seen it. So ICE is well prepared that they may have a resistance. So you just like you're arming yourself and you're gearing yourself up for a riot, you got to prepare for the riot, and it's men and women power. As far as the National Guard, I mean, I think that's when it comes to the military and the police. The military has certain guidelines how they're going to react to certain things, and with a police officer, we have some discretion how we're going to handle something. When military, it's a whole new game. It's a whole new game how they react. You're perceived as the enemy of the the commanding officer in the society. They're gonna react differently than a normal riot team that's with the police department or federal agencies. Military is a different thing, So we playing with fire, and but I just think that man, I don't want another Kent State, I don't, and I think that's going to happen. And for everyone out there that doesn't know, there was civilians killed in what 60s,
Mm-hmm.
Pretty similar circumstances where there was some resistance, and someone got a little antsy with the trigger, and people died. I thought it was 2 or 3 people, but I have to go back and check my history. But that's my thing. I just don't. When it comes to the military on U.S. grounds, I just think that unless it's some humanitarian thing where we're giving out food and you need that assistance, but when it comes to disturbances and all that, I just got fears of it. That's all. I got just a phobia and some fears of things gonna happen. Things are gonna turn out bad. That's all.
What about you, D?
I'm gonna probably disagree with Charlie a little bit, and I think this is like twofold for me. Okay, like one, like I saw a video of like people like hurling like stones at ICE agents and their vehicles and what have you. So I feel like that's the reason why they brought the military in to like protect them, and there has been other instances in whether it's like George Floyd, or when they start like burning buildings and the chaos that we've seen over and over again, right? I do feel that's an opportunity to bring the military in to like settle things down. And maybe Charlie's right where the military is maybe not the answer, but I feel like we definitely need more protection. We need more if it's the military to protect people and not to have all this chaos of buildings burning and what have you. So that's like the one thing. And then the other thing I feel is the deportations themselves, and why are people getting to this point? Like the frustration they're seeing, like loved ones get taken away, families get torn apart. So I feel like that's a subject all in itself.
Yeah.
But as far as like Trump having the military go, I feel that's fine because they need more protection.
The mistake I think that the administration did is that's something that should be done by the governor. I think the governor could have sent police in there. Police could be deputized, where you can go to one town or city. ICE may say, look, we need some personnel. Every police department in this country is when another agency's asking for help, they're going to be there. They proved that in Worcester.
Yeah.
They called for help in Worcester, and you had quite a few people that went there. And I think that in every police department is prepared for if you're calling it a riot, they're prepared for it. So call them in, let them handle it. And the only reason why I say that is because now they deal with people. Some agencies on a federal level don't interact with people on a daily basis.
Right.
And this is maybe people that they know, they've seen or dealt with, and I think that sometimes you can say there's 200 men and women on the National Guard there. You can easily have 200 or 300 people on the police department, sheriff's department that are ready. They're ready for that.
Yep.
So that's the only thing that I think there's other agencies that can help out a little bit better. Like military has different rules and when they're engaging with people. So
I mean, I would say like from our last segment, we're talking about accountability, right, of parents and what have you. Like if my kid was throwing a stone at a nice vehicle, like I'd beat his ass. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, we bring in the military to protect these situations, but it's like, you know, how about the accountability of these people? I get the frustration, but like violence is not the answer.
mm-hmm.
Like violence is never the answer, especially when it's towards like the authority. Like Berto said, you know, a lot of people have a hard time with authority, whether it's a parent, whether it's the school, the teachers, the principal, police officers. We have a problem with authority. So,
well, you talked about violence. There was more violence in the insurrection on January 6th than what happened in LA. So when we talk about that, we also gotta. The president's going to do what he wants. He's going to, and it's already proven. And they're there. I definitely think that next week in LA, things may be a little bit differently and managed a little bit differently when it comes to ICE and how they're gonna figure out a different way of doing this.
I thought, like we're talking, we're reacting to what we're seeing, how things are ending up being. How did we get here? How do we get here where first, as a country as a whole, agreed upon people that's in this country illegally that's committing crimes should not be here. Agreed.
Yeah.
But through our Constitution, there's still owed due process, meaning we can't just say, oh, that person's wearing had a certain tattoo that he's being affiliated and he committed a crime. Go through the due process, prove that this is so, and deport him. That's what our country is about, right? When we don't do that, we'll open up a can of worms that's already half open because now they're targeting people who are law-abiding citizens. Now, are they here illegally? Yes. But that's a misdemeanor. It's a civil charge. It's not even a criminal charge if you really want to break down to it. So if you have people that's here illegally but are law-abiding citizens, at least give them that respect and give them due process. But because you're not doing that, eventually people are going to get angry.
Yeah, but
and it's let's not. And we're going back to like, oh yeah, people are throwing rocks at vehicles. What do you think was going to happen? If you're not listening to just human beings and being empathetic to human beings, never mind what country they're coming from. When we're watching, when you take white South Africans because they're going through so much problems there that you give them a free pass to come in this country, and then y'all treat me like a law-abiding citizen, right? Law-abiding citizen, you're gonna treat me like I'm a piece of an animal. Mm-hmm. That is not right. There's a lot of hypocritical things. When you have people storming the Capitol and you pardon these people, that's hypocritical. And that's wrong. So obviously, you don't want them to throw rocks and things like that. Yes. What are you supposed to do? Speak? Speak to who? They're not listening. So how do we get you to listen?
But
storm the Capitol?
So is it not, I mean, I'm probably asking this because you said it's a misdemeanor. Mm-hmm. It's not a criminal thing to come into the country illegally?
Nope.
So they're always, and there's a comment about ICE doing their job. ICE is doing their job based on what they're being told to do. They're gonna do everything. Obviously, there's some intelligence out there because people that they are detaining have been confirmed here illegally, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the intelligence is there to say that. However, with the one thing that's being missed is what Berto's talking about is the due process.
There's people getting.
So they're going straight from from the streets to
the courthouses.
And it's.
I just think that people are reporting. They're doing the right thing. I'm going my regular checkup. Go to the courthouse like you're supposed to, and they're there waiting. Why? I don't understand that. Like, there's one thing of having American rights, but there's also thing is having human rights. And I get it. If you're in this country illegally and you're committing crimes, fine. Still give these people due process because you got to prove that they're doing this crime. Because right now, they're only creating a misdemeanor. It's a criminal charge once you get deported and you come back. Then it becomes a criminal charge. But that depends on the judge.
So just coming here the first time, it's just a misdemeanor.
It's a misdemeanor. It's almost like a trespassing charge. That's what it is.
That's a misdemeanor?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
yeah, trespassing. Yeah. So that's where people need to understand. Now, I get that. Like I think I be listening to like debates and everything, and when I'm hearing the MAGA Republicans, I'm not calling them Republicans. You got MAGA Republicans, you got Republicans, and these use these trigger words like we have an invasion. There's an invasion of people coming in this country. It's a trigger word. It's not an invasion. The same reason why you granted 59 South Africans to come in this country is the same reason why these brown and black people are coming in this country, for the same damn reason. So in other words, why don't you fix the system to vet these people in a better way, you know what I'm saying? But you're not doing that.
But listen, no one has done that. No one has done that. Republican, Democrat. Okay. Why aren't we bringing more people into this country legally? And why does it take forever?
That's the question.
Forever.
That's the question. Ask Trump that, as well as anybody.
Ask them all. Listen,
yes, ask
them all.
Exactly. But until we get to get that answer, I'm not gonna deny somebody their basic human rights.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. Okay, I don't agree with the South African people coming in here. Like, if you're gonna shut the borders, like, shut it to everyone. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're gonna open them, open it to everyone. Like, so I don't have these answers. I'm not in that. You know what I'm saying?
I just think it's we as a country, we're not against deporting people that don't belong in this country that's here illegally. It's how you're doing it, because you open a Pandora's box where, now first it was the gang members and the people that crime. Now it's law-abiding citizens. Now what's stopping it that it's going to be you? If you open up a Pandora's box, that possibly this could happen, because and this is when we talk about threat of democracy. That's what it is. It's threat of democracy. We don't live like other countries. Is it a difficult system? Yes, it is a difficult system. And it's a broken system that we do got to change. And we got same thing with our healthcare. Why isn't that being paid attention to? Same thing with our economy and our political system and our court system. Everything has to be to the extreme.
Yeah, listen, I agree. But I think, like, just to go back, because I think we all three of us can agree on this, because I feel we spoke about this during the Biden administration. Mm-hmm. The people coming across the border was way too much. We spoke about, like, they're putting people up in hotels, illegal immigrants in hotels. Mm-hmm. We have homeless people on our street. So I think we all felt like, we gotta, like, do something with our border. Mm-hmm. This is a little bit too much.
Oh, but we feel sad for the white South Africans. Oh, come on.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that.
We're giving them money. We're giving them shelter. But when Ukraine people needed to come over here for asylum too, because they were going through a war, it goes, that was doing the same thing too.
Listen,
we
need to do something, because the whole rest of the world will want to come here, right? I mean, I feel like there's a lot of countries that there's people that would love to come to the United States for a better life.
Because their country's fucked up.
I agree with that. What I'm saying is, how can we do it so we can help more people in a righteous, legal, orthodox 100%. Way or something? Like, where's that conversation though?
They there's so many brainstorms of how to do this and make it better and make it easier. We talk about the process of it. Immigration, it's there. They always talk about it, but they never get it It never goes over that hump, right?
Right.
It will make where maybe the immigration, the citizen, the visa process, citizenship should be a whole lot easier.
No, it is, Charlie, too.
It's
How our Congress works, our system works. When you put a bill in front of Congress, right? It's not one individual thing. There's so many stuff in that bill that people are gonna say, even though this bill is good for our immigration system, but it messes up what's in this bill, fucks up our health system. So I can't vote on it because it's going to take away basic health care for my citizens in my district. It doesn't mean I don't want immigration. It's meaning I want my people to have, have health. So in other words, they play these fucking stupid games.
Unfortunately, this has been going on in politics forever.
It's our political system that needs to be fixed. When you put a bill onto the floor, it should be one particular thing.
Completely agree.
One particular thing. Now I listened to a podcast, and this guy said, "Listen, why don't do all these congresswomen and congressmen, senators in the House, gotta be in person all the time? Why don't we just use Zoom to vote on these things?" Right?
Yeah.
Right? So in other words, we can do a few bills a day.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? And he goes, and then you go right into law, like individual bills. You can debate on these one particular bills, and then we as citizens is easiest to follow, so we know what to put pressure on our congressperson or congressperson. But they don't, because it's a game, and they're playing the game with our lives. It's crazy.
We could solve all this, right? Mm-hmm. Every vote, as a politician, as say we're senators, the mandate for us is to always be in attendance to vote.
Yeah.
We can't get out of it. It's a mandate. If you're not in attendance to make a vote, that's a strike against you. It should go down that way, where maybe there's no accountability. Well, Senator Perry, he's not going to vote on this issue today. He's not going to be here.
Yeah.
And then that's easy. I just not show up. I don't vote on something, and it comes back. Senator Perry didn't vote on this, but you two did. And there's a lot of that. The attendance is not required, and I think when you take on these titles, you are required to be there, and that goes even down to the lower levels, or city council and town selectmen. Guess what? If there's a vote that's coming to the table, you need to be there on the local and federal, state levels. And I think that would solve a lot of problems, because people will be held accountable. And I didn't vote on that. I wasn't there. I didn't, and that always comes back later.
That's like just not showing up to work.
And that's what.
Like I think
it's a part-time job. Why can't you show up?
Yeah. They have Zoom who lawyers are representing their clients over Zoom in court.
Yeah.
In court. And just dealing with people's lives here. So as congressperson, there's no excuse and you have to pass these bills. But it's hard to pass bills when you got other shit. Like this bill, this big, beautiful bill, there's a lot of messed up stuff in there. That's why it's becoming an issue that everybody, but you're looking at no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. Yo, pass that. There's a lot of other stuff in there that it could mess up with your life. But you don't know, because it's so hard to read 1,100 page freaking bill.
Yeah.
That's crazy. They do that on purpose because, they're playing with our money. They're playing with our money, and it's being influenced to the people who does have money. It's another thing. You need to take money out of the political system, because money is the root of all evil.
Yeah, money's not going away.
Crazy. I was having a conversation with one of my coworkers, right? And I was telling him, I told the way I live, man. The more money you have, the less I'm going to trust you.
Yeah, we talk about that every week.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
all the time. You look at what was going on with Elon Musk and Trump. They're going at it, right? But they were using each other. People forget they didn't like each other before he was running for president. But they realized Musk was like, I need to befriend Trump, and Trump need to befriend me. So we're both using each other. Once they were done with each other, now they're back and not being friends. They were never friends in the first place.
Yeah.
They were using each other for their own financial benefit. And we here enjoying it like it's a freaking reality show.
No,
They're playing us to make more money, take money out of political system. And people like Trump and Musk is not going to get involved. Because Musk is giving 250 million, 300 million, 400 million. Put that money into our health system, into our educational system, into our court system, not to back up. So this point that back up a presidential hopeful so he could travel all over the country in style and have commercials and things of that nature. Come on, man. Like, really think about what they're doing. And it's just, it pisses me off because we as a country love money. Look at the Diddy case. We just said what a girl would do for $10,000 because of money.
Money is the root of all evil.
Money. And we put these people on a pedestal because they have money, but they have no morals. And I'll keep on saying it. It's like you don't y'all going to hurt people to become a billionaire. There's no way you're gonna be a moral, loving person to become a billionaire. To go up there, there's people you're going to hurt. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's the reality of it. The person with the most morals is gonna probably be the person with the less amount of money.
Can I throw a question out there?
Yeah.
When we talk about like this immigration thing.
Yeah.
Because I definitely wonder why is it so difficult to get in here? Like whether you have like a visa, because I hear from my friends that tell me they have to wait so long, blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why we're not having this conversation. How we can make this better? Do you think that it's because like, you know, being white is like the majority of people in America right now? Do you think if they allow more of these other countries to come in, whether it's like, you know, Hispanic, Black, that the white wouldn't be the dominant race in America? Mm-hmm. Do you think that's some of the problem with them trying to make it easier? You know what I'm saying? You know
that's why they don't want to. That's why they control with abortion.
Yeah, that fear is
right.
It's that they're playing the long game. It's the fear of they're seeing the change in where the white is not going to be the dominant race. You know, dominant race. And so when you stop blending people, then for an example, you as a white person is going to see my culture and not be ignorant to the culture and be like, man, hold on, man, you just like me. Yeah, you do things a little bit different, but you're just like me. Oh, wait a minute. All right. And now you're going to blend in with people. Now you're not going to have that power because think about it. Let's go back into slaves. How did they control the slaves? There was more slaves than slave masters. So the slaves could have took over. It was more of us, right? But know how they controlled us? Mentally. That's why they want to eliminate education. Get a board of education, all this other stuff. This is how they control us because there's more of us than them, but they control us mentally. That's what it is. That's why I love having a show like this and have this educate. And that's why I told you, like you there, like y'all are starring this show because y'all put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, but you're learning, you're growing, and it'd be like, and vice versa. Because be honest with you, y'all, like just the parenting conversation that we had yesterday. I don't have that experience.
Yeah.
So I got to learn through how you do things in your experience so I can make myself better. So I'm not ignorant if I ever become a parent because I'm just going to know what I know.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So people just want to keep you in that box to know what you know and keep you over there. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because there's like, if we want to go to school, there's programs that help us to go to school, but we don't know. Mm-hmm. They do.
There's Derek would just say, what you had just questioned us and about superiority and the majority. They never want to give up that power, and it starts centuries ago. But it even start. There's a book called Wilmington Lies, and it talks about how where there was a turnover of now black lawyers, black judges, black police officers, all within the town of Wilmington in that area. And you see the change where they become store owners, and that became a trigger point where it's saying, wait a minute,
Right.
the black officers coming to get me, arrest me. Oh, I'm in court, and there's a black man judging me, or getting ready to put me in jail. So all that stuff, and then that's when they had these riots, and then they have the Jim Crow laws, and all that stuff started coming. All these questions, that book, Wilmington's Lies, it definitely, you could see some of it coming now and resurfacing, where there's kind of a fear of others taking over, but it was way back when, 1800s, they were talking about it. So nobody wants to give up their power. No one wants to give up their seat. And even if it's within even our daily lives, we just don't want to give it up, and I get that. I honestly can't fault them for thinking that way, but it's part of human nature.
We're humans, and that's why I always remind myself, we are flawed. We humans, we are flawed. And the 7 deadly sins, I say in every show, 7 deadly sins exist. Like people will fall to the addiction to power or money or food or sex or something, because we're humans. You see what I'm saying? So we need rules and boundaries to keep us on a straight and narrow. We're going to veer off every now and then. We're going to make mistakes. But who we are is to be like, learn from those mistakes, to grow as a person. Some people they hit rock bottom where they're just into the devil, where I don't care because I want this money.
Happens all the time.
You know what I'm saying? I don't care because I know I got a heart attack be eating so much. I don't care. I just love the food. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because they're just humans. You know what I'm saying? So, but we need to have these discussions. We need to have uncomfortable discussions. We need to accept our ignorance to really grow. Like, we black people, we're more ignorant than anybody, to be honest with you. We're ignorant because they're using our own ignorance. Like, for an example, you have all these Latin people getting deported, but they're ignorant of the Latin culture, put themselves in that position because you thought that this particular person was not going to deport you. No, he's going to deport all y'all. He was going to do it.
Oh, that's why they got that statement. Fuck around and find out. And they're gonna find out.
Yeah.
And they did find out, and they found out right.
Set off your ignorance.
But I feel like there's a lot of Latin people that you just mentioned, right? Latin people, they voted for Trump because they were legal citizens. I'm saying a lot because they felt like, I waited in line. I did this the right way. So they had some frustration that people just walked.
But we knew that Trump don't care about that.
And Derry, you're talking facts. I've seen it, lived it, heard
100%.
it. I agree with you 100%.
But that being said, like I spoke to a client today.
Mhm.
Okay, she is a legal citizen of the United States. She's from Brazil.
Mhm.
She's a homeowner, right?
Mhm.
Fantastic woman. She's like, I took a picture of my what's the name of it? Citizenship papers.
Yep.
I got a picture on my phone of my citizenship papers, right?
Just in case.
Because she's a Brazilian black woman. Because she's
Mhm.
great. She's afraid maybe if she was targeted or something, so she can pull up her phone. I'm a citizen. You know what I'm saying? That's craziness.
That's crazy.
That's craziness.
But it shouldn't be that
The
way.
funniest thing you say that, but the government's telling people to do
Right.
Do that.
to do that, because they don't want you to carry your papers all over the place.
Right.
So
Right.
take a phone, take a picture of it, and then,
Know the language I hate too, and this is what I'm saying. Like, because my beef is not Republican or Democrat. I said this to you. You could have picked a different Republican, not you, but you could have picked a different Republican. So when you have these MAGA coming in, goes the Dems, like y'all can. That's almost to me like a prejudice or racist type of statement, because at the end of the day, because I don't agree with some of the policies of yours doesn't mean less of American than you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like y'all contributing the separation of the country by separating from Dems and Republicans. I don't mind having a Republican president. I just don't want him. I don't like him. It could have been a different Republican because the person who he is, he's showing the person who he is. I'm not surprised he's acting this way. This is a show. It's a reality show, and it's sad, right? But if it was a different Republican, they probably would have done it in a different way and more in a strategic, you know what I'm saying, due process type of way that will value our democracy of this country, what makes it great. So when people says, yeah, the Dems don't like this, like I'm not American? No. Don't put me in a box.
Yeah, well, I mean, we should get rid of both parties.
Yeah, we should.
We should get rid of both.
And I guarantee you, we'll see a different way of how they campaign. We'll really see what they really believe because they don't know who to target.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But y'all contributing to the separation of this country. But you want to claim your patriots. But when you're saying Dems and Republicans, y'all separating this country just by using that type of language.
Right.
You could disagree with policies.
But just so you know, like that's been going on for a long time.
Oh yeah,
from both sides.
And you know something? That's my ignorance that I didn't notice it sooner. That's just me, really not really paying attention of how they use words to feed our ignorance, and that's my fault. And I'd be accountable of my ignorance of not knowing that. But when I see that, that's what I feel now. You're separating us. We all want to get to the same place.
Yeah.
We may have different roads of getting there. We have different beliefs because we have different lifestyles and different life experiences, but we all want to go to the same place.
Yeah.
So we just need to find a way to work together to get to that same place. All right, you go take that road, Derek. I'll take this road. I'll see you there.
Yeah, that's
it. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe I'll have a more rougher train to get there, and you might have a smooth thing because you make better choices. Okay, I'll see you when I get there. Don't separate me and being like I don't. Because I don't agree I don't want to go that route. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I just feel like we need to stop that. Don't stop allowing these people to have trigger words. Like preserve our democracy, and yes, get the people out of here who is damaging our country who are not U.S. citizens. But also the people that U.S. citizens, they're gonna be accountable for damaging our country also. You know, so I don't know. That's just.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough conversation because I do feel like this administration has gotten rid of a lot of bad people that are not citizens, right? So, I mean, that's a great thing. But, with that comes, and I don't know how to do it. Like, I don't know, how do we do it so families aren't torn apart? Like, how do we, I don't have that answer. I wish there was a better way.
If we work together, if we listen to each other to really understand, but I think that again, we are human beings. We're gonna fall into wanting power, wanting more money, wanting this, wanting that, instead of what's good for all of us. Like the separation between the haves and have-not is too wide. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't. We should be a country that healthcare should be a right. Our education, Black history is American history. We shouldn't be not. There's a lot of things that's been invented in this country that Black people invented that you won't live without. The GPS was invented by a Black person. And so there's a lot of things that that is Black history. That's American history, and that's a good
segue.
Yeah.
Actually, what you're talking about, guess what? We're going to talk about it in a few minutes, but with immigration and all those things, solutions for it, they already talked about AI helping us and assisting us to do that, and they already have solutions. And I try to tell everybody, AI is human input that was gathered, and it's from everybody. It's things that Derek talks about, Berto talks about, I talk about, and millions of others all go into that AI and produce solutions for many things. So just want to mention that because they talk about immigration problems and the citizenship that AI could help. And I got a source, but I want to misquote it, so I'm not going to say it now. But they talked about AI helping with the immigration problem and making the process a whole lot quicker.
Okay, so it's a good transfer over to this segment where we're going to talk about, you know, the Trump administration's some of the departments that are head of the departments that you just like, yo, really? Like you have this job. If anybody knows, the Civil Rights Department, the Office of Civil Rights, was just given to a person who's 22 years old.
Yeah.
22 years old. What life experiences?
22 years old.
Never mind education.
Yeah. As a black man at 22 years old, there wasn't enough I knew to help with civil rights as a black man, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here it is. I mean, I was young and naive. Those things I didn't think about. And I'm just thinking, what life skills does this dude have? Let's go back to how many jobs did he have? You know, at 22.
He was a grocery clerk a couple years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like that's crazy. So you want to eliminate DEI, but then the reason why DEI existed for this exact example is this nepotism, because that's what it is nepotism. But I digress, and I really want to talk about, because education is one of my main points of why I wrote. Education, the economy, and healthcare is the three things that I focus on when it comes to the federal government or anybody in power. And the head of our education department is, if anybody knows, is Miss McMahon. She is wife or ex-wife of Jim McMahon, who owns a WWE.
Vince McMahon?
Vince McMahon. That's her. That's his wife. All right. So I'm going to play you a couple of clips that just happened this week. It's just astonishing.
Man, during your confirmation hearing, you were asked by Senator Chris Murphy if an African-American history class violated the administration's position on diversity, equity, and inclusion. You said you'd like to look into it. You've been on the job for a few months now. Have you been able to look into it?
I do not think that African studies or Middle East studies or Chinese studies are part of DEI if they are taught as part of the total history package. So that if you're giving the facts on both sides, of course they're not DEI.
I don't know what both sides of African-American history would be.
Well, if African-American history is part of
certainly, but what we recognize throughout what we recognize throughout education is that a course is only 1 year or one semester. It would be impossible to teach African history and say European history at the same time. Do you not agree that it makes sense that there would be separate courses for these courses of study? And it's happened throughout history. We're able to do it not just in history courses. We're able to do it with different types of literature courses or different types of music courses. One wouldn't learn about Baroque music and necessarily have to also learn about African drumming at the same time, right? We can separate those courses.
Yes, we can. I think just as we teach U.S. history as a separate course.
Certainly. So you do not agree. So you do agree that African-American cultures and African history should not be eliminated from courses, particularly AP African history.
Well, I think that African history can certainly be taught and not be considered a DEI course.
Oh, thank you. I have a few other examples that I would like your thoughts on, simple yes or no. If this is a legal DEI, an example, would you say that it would be an illegal DEI for a lesson plan on the Tulsa Race Massacre?
I'd have to get back to you on that.
Do you know what the Tulsa Race Massacre is?
I'd like to look into it more and get back to you on it.
Okay, so I look forward to that. How about the book Through My Eyes by Ruby Bridges, for instance?
I haven't read that.
Have you learned about Ruby Bridges?
So if you have specific examples you'd like,
that was a specific example.
I'll be very happy.
It was an incredibly specific example.
I named your questions, and I will look into it and get back to you.
Thank you. How about a school having a voluntary celebration for Pride Month?
Well, I think that
voluntary.
Well, let's make sure that in our schools
this is yes or no?
We're looking. No, it's not.
Okay. How about social studies standards that teach that President Biden won the 2020 election?
I think our studies should all be taught accurately.
Yes or no?
I think our studies should.
No. The question was, do you believe that social studies standards that teach that President Biden won the 2020 election is an illegal DEI? Yes or no?
I think I said we should teach accurately. We should.
No, you have not answered the question. Well, I don't understand why you're incapable of answering.
I'm just not giving you the answer you want.
No, I want the answer, whatever your answer is.
I just gave you the answer.
No, the answer is yes or no.
Well, the answer is
the answer is yes or no.
Joe,
that's that was one like back and forth. If anybody doesn't know who Ruby Bridges is, she was the child who, when they first started integrating schools, was it in Arkansas?
I think it was Arkansas. Yeah, Arkansas. Yeah.
Yeah, where she was a 5-year-old child, and please look it up, where she was getting berated by people, going to school, on the bus, walking to school, and everything like that. And she wrote a book about that experience and how white parenting was just yelling at this 5-year-old. Was she like 5 or 6 or something?
Yeah,
like
it
that?
was first grade, something like that.
Yeah,
was,
yeah. Where she's going to school, Google Ruby Bridges. The story is amazing. I don't even know, like, imagine a 5-year-old, 6-year-old kid dealing with that.
Mm.
Oh, it's
How about being a dad sending your kid to school?
Yeah.
To go through that. You already know.
Yeah.
You already know what may happen, and it did happen. And but could you imagine that? Just thinking about, I'm sending my 5-6-year-old to school, and she's gonna get crucified by.
And she's still alive today.
Yeah, yeah.
She's still alive today. That's what we talked about
crazy
last year, about how it wasn't that far ago that this country was even physically separated, where you had a white bubbler and a black bubbler to drink out of.
Yeah, we spoke about this.
Yeah,
like, our parents' generation.
Our parents' generation. And so when you have a Secretary of Education can't really answer who Ruby Bridges is, and that has a lot to do with the education system, because that's the first one we started integrating in schools. That's a problem. She said, I gotta look up that. You don't know who Ruby Bridges is. Like, that's just not right. So I want to play this another clip. Listen to this one.
Questions. Do you think that Holocaust education in our schools is a DEI program? There's no card for that. That's just yes or no.
I can look at whatever card.
Holocaust education, is it a DEI? You can have a press conference to say whatever you want. I just need a quick answer to
Your
this.
soliloquy.
Is Holocaust, because this is my time, is Holocaust education a DEI program?
No.
Is African American Studies a DEI
I
program?
think I answered that with one.
I'm asking it again.
We should
Just yes or no.
We should be able to teach.
My point is, they are DEI programs, both of them, because students need diversity, equity, and inclusion to understand their environments. So both Holocaust education and the teaching of African American history are important, which is why the state of Connecticut requires it in our social studies curriculum. You're talking out of both sides of your mouth. You can't support one without supporting the other. And looking at what happens in the schools and actually deferring to teachers, parents who are on curriculum committees, local boards of education and states who actually do the hard work, and listening to what they say would be incredibly helpful in this role.
What do you think about that?
I think that woman sounds like a bitch, but
Which woman?
The one that was like, see, this is the problem with politics, is what we just listened to is politics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just answer the question. I can't even listen to that, because that's not a conversation. Like, we come on here, we have conversations, right?
Mm-hmm.
I might have a different opinion that I get to explain it. We have a conversation back and forth. I can't stand listening to shit like that when it's like, just answer the question, just answer the question. Like, to me, I have to tune that out. I just can't even listen to it.
Yeah, it's another situation where their procedures in a hearing like this, where Senator Demers is going to get 5 minutes,
right?
3 minutes. Why? Isn't this issue important? Why do I have 3 minutes to explain something that truly should be discussed in 15 minutes or more? Right? If I have to be intellectual and get something across, I only have 3 minutes to do it, when truly I want to do it more. And that question, it's a yes or no question. Not everything in my mindset could give you a yes or no answer.
Completely agree.
I cannot give, I can't. So that I truly, however, I can also spot out someone that, the Department of Education, the person there, Man, that's her name.
Mhm.
I mean, she's ducking and dodging. She'd be a good dodgeball player. But I think the answer is very obvious. Ruby Bridges. There's no doubt in my mind that this lady has seen this picture and talked about it.
You've seen the picture. You probably you don't know what
you'll know.
You've seen the picture.
Maybe I just don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I'll put it up.
Yeah.
Top of my head, that name doesn't ring a bell to me. But
Let me put this up to like, and this is the last clip I'm gonna play of this.
One place the Republicans are looking for cuts to pay for their big, beautiful bill is in the Department of Education, which is currently being led off a cliff by former WWE CEO and final boss at Joanne Fabrics, Linda McMahon. Yesterday, McMahon testified at the Senate budget hearing when Louisiana Senator John Kennedy complained about spending on a certain federal education program.
We spend $1.858 billion a year on TRIO. Yes. That's $1,580 million a year. And how long have we been spending $1,580 million a year on this program? More than 10 years? Yes. So that's over $1 trillion we've spent on this program.
First of all, I know you're all folksy and everything, but who calls $1 billion 1,000 million?
Well, this is the biggest government waste since I was born in 1951, or as my pappy used to call it, 1000s, 900s, 100 and 1.
Second, his math is extremely wrong, as Senator Jack Reed then pointed out.
I'm not a great mathematician, but I think you were talking about $1 trillion. I believe 1.5 billion times 10 is $15 billion. That's a little bit off from $1 trillion. But
I think that the budget cuts 1.2 billion.
Well, 1.2, that would be $12 billion, not $1 trillion.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
You're off by $988 billion.
It's funny, but it's sad. This is just the hearing of the Secretary of Education that just don't know its history and then can't add or subtract.
No. Wow. But we could say that we didn't pick her, or, that wasn't our choice, but as Americans, she is our choice, and this is what's representing us as Americans, and just got to be a whole lot better. This is crazy. And she shouldn't have been the choice in the first place.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on. Let's have a fun conversation before we end our show. AI, artificial intelligence in the music industry. If everybody knows, the music producer extraordinaire Timbaland just signed an AI artist. AI mean a makeup artist that, is not a real person. And this is where I feel like the music industry is going to. Charlie, like this, y'all getting familiar with these AI programs, using it to make music and all. What's your opinion on it? Like, as far as like the pros and cons, what's good and what's bad about it?
Oh, when AI needs to be, it's a lot of the information intelligence is actually coming from us humans, and it's collected by a computer system and then be able to solve and produce a lot of different programs. It's not going to go away. And I think that it's here to stay, and going to be used on a lot of levels with it, personally, professionally, and Timbaland's just ahead of the game right now. And I think that once he does it, I guarantee you by the end of the year, there's going to be quite a few more other producers doing it. And they talk about it's here to stay. I mean, a lot of podcasts that we see, I like it. And there's a huge discussion about it. The only thing I'm worried about it is it can be used to hurt and harm us. And that's what I'm worried about. So they say what's the best thing to do is to make sure when it's gathering the intelligence and it, we also want to, you can teach AI to be empathetic or be, to understand feelings and stuff like that. So when it comes to harm and things like that, it will pick it up. No, that's the wrong thing to do. And this is a perfect example. I wanted to create a book with 3 friends, and one of the friends were white, but I was going to put them on a plantation, more like it was. Slavery is not nothing to joke about, but this situation was going to be like a Saturday night skit, and all I did was put the word slavery in it, and AI rejected it.
Really?
And it rejected it. So it's getting better. And but I say 5 stars to Timbaland because he's setting something that's going to end up being very trendy, and it's going to be more routine.
Do you feel like it's going to take away the raw talent or the emotion off of music? Like, yeah, you can have an artist, but is it the beginning of a time where that actual going to see a person sing live is gonna go away? Having that intimate setting, that feeling, that emotion, because I love live music.
Yeah.
And when you make a song that's digitally, yes, it helps. Like I looked at AI as almost eliminating the engineer, but as far as the art is concerned, that's where I'm kind of skeptical because, okay, you're going to make good music that we can listen to, but then it's going to eliminate any live performances.
It's becoming a genre. So if I'm using the right word, that what's happening is AI is becoming a category in book writing and music and movies, and that they're getting ready to issue awards for AI versions of almost everything. So I think they're going to control it, but I think it's going to be a separate thing. What's that? Technical music. I forget what it. But even when that came out, it was kind of separated,
Okay.
But AI is going to end up being a category. I think it's going to be here to stay. As far as live music, I don't think it's ever going to separate it, only because if you look back, folk music is probably one of the oldest type of music going on. It's still in existence. It's still listened to on a daily. And I think AI is just going to be another category that, that is available, but I don't think it's going to eliminate anything else.
All right. I'm sure we'll have different conversations coming up
Yeah,
in the future about it. I just want to put it out there.
Actually, we have someone that will come on the show, and he's an AI expert.
Oh yeah.
I have him my contacts.
Okay.
That maybe we can get him to call in.
Yeah.
And basically have that conversation. He's one of the most amazing guys that I talked to, and I met him through Swell, to tell you the truth.
All right, we'll talk about it. So we're gonna get down to the end of the show.
Is this the end? I gotta know. I gotta know. I gotta know. Is this the end?
Yes, this is the end of another episode of the Frequency Live on WMB1 Radio. Good show, guys. What do we think?
Yeah, good show always is.
Yeah.
The conversation we have.
Yeah.
Even when we disagree.
Yeah.
It's a good show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I 5 stars for both of you, and I appreciate you. I also want to give a nice appreciation to the local branch of the NAACP, and the annual breakfast was 36th annual breakfast was at Century House in Acushnet, Mass. Great venue, and they awarded some great people. And my dear friend Marilyn Gonzalez got an award along with a few other ones. Charlene Burton, Ivan Brittle, our friend. You know, it's amazing. We have some amazing leaders in this area, and I'm actually letting you guys know that next year, if you'd like to be on my table, you're both invited. And also, if you want to be a millionaire, you need to make a baby with Berto.
Okay, this guy. Hey, Berto would be a good dad. I know he would. Hey, can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Saturday night, WNB1 Radio is hosting a comedy show.
Yeah.
At Top Shelf. I'm not sure the time, but Saturday night, look into that. It's gonna be fun. I'm hoping to probably go. And I also want to say, all the fellas out there, have an awesome Father's Day next Sunday.
Happy Father's Day.
All right. Yes. Great show, guys. Hold on one second. I just want to put up this. Yeah, great show, guys. I just want to shout out again Manolani Saray. I got my gentleman's body balm with the Babasu oil. Keep my skin smooth. You know, if any ladies out there want to come touch it. It's not baby oil like Diddy, but you know what I'm saying? It's that Manolani Saray. So shout out Diana. Thank you. I got mine. That's gonna last me for a while because I got 2 bottles of this good stuff. You can go on LaniSaray.com or reach out on Facebook and get you some good products out there. I gotta get some candles too. She has some good candles and stuff, you know, the feng shui, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So thank you to all our listeners. Thank you to all our watchers. We'll be back next weekend. It's Father's Day weekend. We might have a special show for you. We're not gonna say anything until everything's definite. If not, but I want to thank our listeners. We'll be back next Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm gonna play it on the radio. This song is from Horace Brown, Things That We Do for Love. Yes, bring love back into the world. Have a good night.
Good night.